Your attention is being stolen every single day, and you're letting it happen for free. Right now, as you watch this video, there are dozens of people who would kill to have just 5 minutes of your focus. Your boss wants it for that urgent project. Your friends want it for their problems. Social media platforms are literally paying billions to engineers whose only job is to capture and keep your attention. Yet somehow you give it away like it's worthless candy on Halloween. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something that most people today have completely forgotten. He knew that attention is the ultimate currency, and like any currency, the moment you start giving it away for free, it loses all its value. In his world, gaining an audience with someone powerful meant you had to prove your worth first. You couldn't just walk up to a prince and demand his time. You had to earn it, fight for it, sometimes even pay for it. But here's what's fascinating. Machiavelli didn't just understand this as a political strategy. He turned it into a personal philosophy that made him one of the most respected and feared minds in history. People sought him out because his attention had value. When Machiavelli gave you his focus, it meant something. It carried weight. It had consequences. Today, we've got it completely backwards. We give our attention to anyone who asks for it. We respond to every notification, attend every meeting, engage with every person who demands our time. And then we wonder why nobody respects our boundaries, why our time feels worthless, and why we're constantly drained and overwhelmed. The truth is, people don't value what they can get for free. They value what they have to work for. When you make your attention scarce, when you create systems where people have to earn your focus, something magical happens. Suddenly, you become the person others want to impress. You become the one whose opinion matters. You become Machiavellian in the best possible way. Number 1. The velvet rope principle. There's a nightclub in your city that you've probably never been to. Not because you can't afford it, but because you haven't proven you deserve to be there. Every weekend, hundreds of people line up outside, hoping to get past that simple piece of rope. Some get in immediately, others wait for hours. Many never make it past the door at all. But here's the fascinating part. The harder it is to get in, the more desperately people want to be there. Your attention works exactly the same way, except you've been letting everyone walk right through the front door without even checking their ID. You've turned your mind into a 24-hour diner where anyone can sit down, order whatever they want, and leave without paying the bill. No wonder you feel drained, disrespected, and constantly interrupted. Think about the last time someone randomly called you just to chat. Did they ask if you had time to talk? Probably not. They just expected you to drop everything and give them your full attention. Now think about how you felt when that conversation ended. Energized and grateful, or slightly annoyed that your time was hijacked for something that could have been a text message. The most successful people in the world understand something that the rest of us have forgotten. Access to valuable things requires qualification. You wouldn't let a stranger withdraw money from your bank account, yet you let strangers withdraw attention from your mental account every single day. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. When people wanted to speak with him, they had to prove their request was worth his time. They came prepared with specific questions and clear purposes. They respected his boundaries because he made it clear that his attention was valuable and limited. But here's what most people get wrong about boundaries. They think setting boundaries makes them seem rude or unapproachable. The opposite is actually true. When you make your attention harder to access, people value it more when they finally get it. They prepare better for interactions with you. They respect your time because you've shown them it's worth respecting. This brings us to our first strategy, and this is number 1 out of 5 powerful techniques that will completely transform how people treat your time and attention. The velvet rope principle is about creating invisible barriers that people must qualify to cross before they can access your focus. Just like that exclusive nightclub, you need to establish clear criteria that others must meet before gaining access to your mental space. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means creating a system where people prove their request is worth your mental energy before you invest it. Here's how this works in practice. When someone wants to meet with you, require them to send you an agenda first. When someone calls unexpectedly, tell them you'll call them back at a specific time. When someone asks for advice, ask them what they've already tried and what specific aspect they need help with. These small barriers filter out the time wasters and attract the people who genuinely value what you have to offer. The person who won't spend 5 minutes preparing an agenda probably wasn't going to respect the hour you were about to give them anyway. Start implementing this tomorrow. The next time someone asks for your time, don't just say yes. Ask them to qualify their request. Watch how quickly this simple change transforms the quality of your interactions and the respect others show for your attention. Number 2, the attention audit trail. I want you to imagine something for a moment. What if your bank sent you a statement at the end of each month showing not just where your money went, but how much value you got in return for each transaction? What if you could see exactly which purchases improved your life and which ones you completely forgot about the next day? You'd probably make very different spending decisions, wouldn't you? Your attention is being spent just like money, but you have no idea where it's going or what you're getting in return. You're giving your focus to people and activities without tracking the return on investment. You're operating blind in the most important economy of your life. Last week, how many hours did you spend listening to someone complain about the same problem they complained about last month? How much mental energy did you invest in conversations that went nowhere? How many times did you give your full attention to someone who never reciprocates when you need theirs? Most people live their entire lives without ever auditing where their attention goes. They wonder why they feel drained and overwhelmed, but they never examine the attention vampires who are slowly sucking the life out of their mental resources. Machiavelli was ruthless about this. He paid attention to who deserved his attention. The people who wasted his time got less access to it. The people who brought value, preparation, and respect got continued access to his insights and guidance. He understood that attention, like any currency, should flow toward what provides the greatest return. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. Some people in your life are net negative on your attention account. They take far more than they give. They show up unprepared, dump their problems on you, and leave you feeling emotionally exhausted. Meanwhile, other people multiply the value of every minute you spend with them. They come prepared, ask thoughtful questions, and leave you feeling energized and inspired. But you treat them all the same. You give equal access to the energy vampire and the energy multiplier. You've never created a system to identify the difference between the two. This leads us to our second strategy, and this is number 2 out of 5 game-changing techniques. The attention audit trail is about tracking who gets your attention and what they do with it, then systematically cutting off the people who consistently waste it. Here's how you implement this starting today. Keep a mental or actual record of your interactions over the next week. After each conversation or meeting, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Did this person come prepared? Did they respect the time I gave them? Did I feel energized or drained when this interaction ended? The people who consistently score well on these questions get continued access to your attention. The people who consistently waste your time get systematically reduced access until they prove they've earned their way back in. This isn't about being cruel or cutting people off permanently. It's about creating consequences for how people treat your most valuable resource. When someone realizes they're getting less access to you, they often step up their game. They start coming more prepared. They begin to respect your boundaries. They earn their way back to full access. Start your attention audit this week. You'll be shocked by how much mental energy you're wasting on people who don't deserve it, and how much more you could be investing in relationships and activities that actually improve your life. Number 3, the delayed response power play. There's a psychological experiment that reveals something disturbing about human nature. When researchers made lab rats work harder for their food, pressing a lever multiple times instead of just once, something unexpected happened. The rats didn't get frustrated or give up. Instead, they became more attached to the food they had to work for. They valued it more than identical food that came easily. You are training people to treat your attention like that easy food. When you respond to messages instantly, when you pick up the phone on the first ring, when you immediately give your focus to anyone who asks for it, you're teaching them that your attention has no value. You're programming them to expect instant access to your mental resources. Think about the last time someone important sent you a message. Did you feel a little rush of excitement? Did you drop what you were doing to respond immediately? Now think about how that person responds to your messages. Do they give you the same instant attention you give them? Probably not. And ironically, their delayed responses probably make you value their attention more than they value yours. This is the paradox of human psychology. We don't value what comes easily. We treasure what we have to wait for, work for, or compete for. The restaurant with the longest wait time must have the best food. The person who's hardest to reach must be the most important. The response that takes longer to receive must be more thoughtful and valuable. You've been operating against human psychology instead of with it. You've been making yourself too available, too eager, too ready to drop everything for others. And in doing so, you've accidentally trained people to take your attention for granted. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He didn't respond to every letter immediately. He didn't make himself available at all hours. When he did respond, when he did give his attention, it carried weight because people had to wait for it. His delayed responses made his eventual engagement more precious, more meaningful, more respected. But here's what most people fear about strategic delays. They think it will damage their relationships or make them seem unresponsive. The opposite is actually true. When you create appropriate delays in your communication, you force others to value the responses you do give. You make every interaction more meaningful because it's not competing with the instant gratification they've come to expect. This brings us to our third strategy, and this is number 3 out of 5 powerful techniques that will revolutionize how others perceive and respect your time. The delayed response power play is about using strategic delays in communication to create psychological value and respect. Here's how this works in practice. When someone texts you something non-urgent, don't respond immediately, even if you have the time. Wait a few hours or until the next day. When someone emails you, resist the urge to reply within minutes. Take time to craft a thoughtful response. When someone calls you unexpectedly, let it go to voicemail and call them back at a time that works for your schedule. These delays serve multiple purposes. First, they train people to value your responses when they receive them. Second, they give you time to provide more thoughtful, valuable input. Third, they establish you as someone whose time is genuinely precious and carefully managed. The key is making these delays strategic, not random. Don't delay urgent matters or important deadlines. But for the majority of communication that isn't truly time-sensitive, create space between the request and your response. Start implementing this tomorrow. Choose one type of communication where you typically respond instantly and create a strategic delay. Watch how this simple change makes people more appreciative of your responses and more respectful of your time. Number 4. The attention price tag. Imagine walking into a store where everything is free. You can take whatever you want, as much as you want, anytime you want it. How much would you value the things you took from that store? You'd probably grab items carelessly, use them wastefully, and maybe even forget you had them. Now, imagine that same store started charging money for everything. Suddenly, you'd think carefully about what you really needed. You'd take better care of what you bought. You'd value it because it cost you something. Your attention is that free store, and people are shopping carelessly because they never have to pay for what they take. They interrupt your work for trivial questions they could have Googled. They schedule meetings without agendas because preparation costs them effort. They call you to think out loud because using your brain as their sounding board is easier than using their own. Every time someone accesses your attention without investing anything first, they're training themselves to value it less. They're learning that your focus is abundant, always available, and completely free. No wonder they waste it so carelessly. The most successful people in history understood something that seems counterintuitive. Making people invest before they can access your attention doesn't push them away. It attracts the right kind of people and repels the wrong ones. When someone has to put effort into getting your focus, they automatically value the time you give them more highly. Think about your favorite restaurant. Did you just stumble upon it randomly, or did you hear about it from someone whose opinion you trusted? Did you have to make a reservation weeks in advance? Did you have to dress up or travel across town to get there? All of those investments made the experience more valuable in your mind before you even tasted the food. Machiavelli made people invest in accessing his attention. If someone wanted his counsel, they had to demonstrate they'd already thought through the problem themselves. If they wanted his time, they had to prove the request was worthy of his consideration. This investment created psychological commitment. People valued his insights more because they had to work to receive them. But here's what stops most people from implementing this strategy. They worry it will make them seem difficult or high maintenance. They think requiring investment will drive people away. The truth is exactly the opposite. Requiring investment drives away the people who don't truly value what you have to offer, and it attracts the people who recognize your worth. This leads us to our 4th strategy, and this is number 4 out of 5 life-changing techniques. The attention price tag is about attaching invisible costs to accessing your focus, making others invest before they can withdraw from your mental resources. Here's how you implement this starting immediately. Before giving someone your attention for advice, require them to tell you what they've already tried and what specific aspect they need help with. Before accepting a meeting request, ask for a clear agenda and specific outcomes they want to achieve. Before taking a phone call, ask them to text you the topic so you can mentally prepare. These requirements aren't obstacles, they're filters. The person who won't spend 10 minutes preparing for a conversation probably wasn't going to make good use of the 30 minutes you were about to give them. The person who can't articulate what specific help they need probably isn't ready to implement whatever advice you provide. When people invest in accessing your attention, 3 powerful things happen. First, they value the time you give them more because they worked for it. Second, they come better prepared, making the interaction more productive for both of you. Third, they start to see you as someone whose attention is valuable and worth the investment. Start adding price tags to your attention this week. Choose one area where people currently get your focus for free and require a small investment first. Watch how this simple change improves the quality of every interaction and increases the respect others show for your time. Number 5. The scarcity amplifier. There are 2 restaurants on the same street. One always has empty tables and a host who seems desperate for customers. The other has a line out the door and a reservation book that's full for months. Which one do you assume has better food? Which one would you rather eat at? The empty restaurant might actually serve better meals, but you'll never know because scarcity creates perceived value in our minds. Your attention operates by the same psychological principles, but you've been broadcasting abundance instead of scarcity. You've been advertising that your time is always available, that your focus is unlimited, and that anyone can access your mental resources whenever they want. You've become the empty restaurant, and people are walking right past you to compete for attention from others who seem more scarce. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. This is about accurately representing the reality of your situation. Your attention is actually limited. Your time is genuinely finite. Your energy does have boundaries. But nobody knows this because you never demonstrate it publicly. Watch how successful people handle their calendars. They don't hide the fact that they're busy. They mention important projects they're working on. They reference other commitments when scheduling meetings. They let people see that their time is already spoken for by valuable activities and relationships. This visible allocation of their attention makes others want to be part of that select group. Machiavelli was a master of this strategy. People knew he was engaged in important correspondence with powerful figures. They could see that his attention was distributed selectively among people who mattered. This visible scarcity made others compete to be included in his inner circle. They worked harder to earn his respect because they could see how carefully he allocated his focus. But here's the mistake most people make when they try to seem busy. They complain about how overwhelmed they are. They broadcast stress instead of selective allocation. They make their busyness seem chaotic rather than strategic. This reduces the perceived value of their attention instead of increasing it. The difference is crucial. Complaining about being busy makes you seem disorganized and overwhelmed. Demonstrating strategic allocation makes you seem valuable and in demand. One pushes people away, the other attracts them. This brings us to our fifth and final strategy. The scarcity amplifier is about publicly demonstrating that your attention is finite and highly allocated, making others naturally compete for access to it. Here's how you implement this final technique. When someone asks for your time, don't just say you're busy. Reference the specific valuable activities your attention is already allocated to. Instead of saying, "I can't meet this week, I'm swamped," say, "I'm focused on finishing the Johnson project this week, but I could meet next Tuesday." Instead of, "I don't have time for that," say, "My evenings this month are committed to my certification program, but let's revisit this in December." This subtle shift does three powerful things. First, it shows that your time is occupied by important, deliberate activities rather than random busyness. Second, it demonstrates that you're selective about how you allocate your attention. Third, it creates competition in the other person's mind because they can see your attention is already valued by other important priorities. Start amplifying your scarcity this week. Let people see that your attention is carefully allocated to valuable pursuits. Watch how this visibility transforms their respect for your time and their eagerness to earn a place among your priorities. These 5 strategies will fundamentally change how the world treats your attention, but only if you implement them consistently. The velvet rope principle creates barriers that filter for quality interactions. The attention audit trail helps you systematically invest your focus where it provides the greatest return. The delayed response power play uses strategic timing to increase the perceived value of your engagement. The attention price tag requires others to invest before they can access your mental resources. And the scarcity amplifier demonstrates that your time is finite and strategically allocated. Machiavelli understood that attention is power, and power that's given away freely loses all its influence. Your focus is the most valuable currency you possess. It's time to start treating it that way. When you make your attention scarce, valuable, and hard-earned, you don't become less connected to others. You become more respected, more valued, and more influential in every relationship and situation you encounter. The choice is yours. Continue giving your attention away for free and watch people take it for granted, or start implementing these strategies and experience what it feels like when others compete to earn your focus. Your attention has been undervalued for too long. Today, that changes. The next video the algorithm chose for you isn't random. It's your next tactical upgrade. Click it now and continue your silent ascent. Those who hesitate lose influence.